Hey everyone, welcome back to Lunch Bunch. I am here with a short story from Geektastic, Stories from the Nerd Herd, which is edited by Holly Black and Cecil Castellucci. And the story I'm reading today is called The Stars at the Finish Line, and it is by Wendy. 2,563 days ago. 3 more kids until my turn, and I had no idea what I was going to say. "Fireman!" Jimmy Anderson shouted. The class laughed. Jimmy had nearly burned down the school last year lighting leaves with a magnifying glass. "Race car driver," announced Rick Adderley from 2 seats in front of me. The class laughed again. Rick's dad owned the biggest tractor store in town. No wonder Rick wants to go faster than 5 miles an hour. When it was Tabitha Bell's turn to respond, we all waited expectantly. No one knew anything about her except that she was smart. Really smart. Like, scary smart, and she had a funny name that I secretly repeated to myself when I couldn't fall asleep at night. Tabitha Bell. Tabitha Bell. She walked into our 4th grade class 2 months ago, and suddenly I wasn't the smartest kid in the class anymore. For instance, I knew that Athena was Zeus's daughter, but Tabitha knew that Athena had sprung, fully grown, from the top of Zeus's head. I knew the temperature at which water boiled, and she knew the temperature at which atoms got so cold they stopped moving. We were all waiting to hear what someone who could be anything in the world would choose as a career. "Astronaut," Tabitha Bell said, quietly but firmly. "I'm going to be an astronaut." "Me too," I called out, surprising everyone, including myself. "That's wonderful, Miss Berman," Miss McIntyre said, jotting a note in her book. "I'm sure you'll both succeed." Tabitha turned around in her seat. She narrowed her grass-green eyes at me, sizing up my very soul. The youngest of 6, I was not used to being noticed so intently. I instinctively pushed myself against the back of my seat. My flinch made the corners of Tabitha's mouth twitch upwards. "Bring it on," she said, with one sharp nod. We were 9 years old, and the competition had begun. The sun has risen and set 2,563 times since that day, and the 2 of us has spoken exactly 238 words. That's like less than a 5-minute conversation, and those words were spread out over years. 224 of them were during our 6th grade science project, where we got stuck on the same team. 2 of them came from an accidental brush in the hall in 8th grade that required a mumbled, "Oops, sorry," and the rest resulted from a request to pass a beaker of liquid hydrogen in AP Chem sophomore year. In the beginning, I tried to be friendly, but she's never given me the time of day. Literally, I once asked her the time because my watch had stopped, and she wouldn't tell me. Stuff like this used to drive me crazy, but now it's the end of our junior year, and I'm used to it. Since we're in every honors class together, I spend a lot of time staring at the back of her head. Even in high school, we still sit alphabetically. Honors English is about to start when Tabitha walks in and heads to her desk. It takes me a few seconds to realize that instead of sitting down, she's standing next to my desk. In fact, she's actually talking to me. This does not happen. I blink and sit up straighter. "How could you not have told me about this?" she demands, waving an orange flyer in my face. "That's not fair." Okay, so just because Tabitha and I don't talk, that's not to say we aren't aware of each other. We always know what grades the other receives, what extracurriculars the other is involved in, what accolades or awards we can earn, how many laps around the field we can do before getting winded. Getting into NASA requires being in peak physical condition, an advanced degree in something like astrophysics or aeronautical engineering, and that most mysterious of qualifications, the right stuff. Without saying a word, we push each other to be our best in every area. We bring it on every day. When I sit down to a test, I see Tabitha's face in my mind, her eyes challenging me to beat her score. Before, I never cared much about grades. I just enjoyed learning for its own sake. Because of her, I now have straight A's, and I'm pretty sure I can get a scholarship to college, which my family never could have afforded otherwise. Instead of practicing quadratic equations alone in my room, I'm the treasurer of the junior class, and I owe all that to her. The thing is, sometime over these same 2,563 days, I probably should have told Tabitha I don't actually want to be an astronaut. I get carsick on any road that isn't perfectly straight. I almost fainted from fear on the Care Bears roller coaster at the county fair when I was 7. The likelihood of me becoming an astronaut and zooming into space at thousands of miles per hour and then floating around at zero gravity is zilch. I know I should tell her that she doesn't have to worry about me taking her spot at MIT, but honestly, our wordless competition has made my life so much better, and I don't want it to stop. So now she's waiting for me to form words, and I can't seem to answer. Because here's the thing. Even though she annoys the you-know-what out of me, I still repeat Tabitha's name to myself in bed at night. And it's not because of the melody of it. Tabitha Bell, lulls me to a gentle slumber. It's because I'm madly in love with her. My feelings began in 5th grade, when she made a diorama of the Pantheon in Rome, complete with statues of all the gods modeled out of ivory soap. Then in 7th grade, when she constructed a wave pool in science class to show how all matter behaves, both like a wave and like a particle. My heart started to flutter. Anyone who would try to explain quantum mechanics to 7th graders is a special girl for sure. But then last year, she won the high school speech competition by talking for an hour about the existential meaning of Sisyphus pushing his rock up the hill every day. And that did it. From that moment on, I was hers. Or she was mine. Or something like that. Not that she knows, of course, considering how, we don't talk at all. Petra, she demands, all golden eyes and honey brown hair and tank top. How am I supposed to ignore all that and just answer her? I stall by glancing at the flyer. It's for the big star party the local astronomy club is hosting out in the desert next weekend. This year, they're running an all-night Messier Marathon. My name is listed at the bottom as the youth advisor. I found this on the community board at the rec center, she says, accusingly. Why didn't you tell me you were involved with this? I finally find my voice. It's not a secret, I tell her. You know I'm into astronomy. She stares at me like I have 2 heads. No, I don't. This surprises me. Perhaps she hasn't been paying quite as much attention to me as I've been paying to her all these years. I don't know what to say, so I stare down at the flyer. When I look back up, she inexplicably has a tear in the corner of her eye. It glistens on her lower lashes, like a diamond. I redden and resist the strong urge to dab at it. She blinks quickly, and it's gone. Her eyes narrow, and she asks, Can you tell me how much hydrogen gas the sun transforms into helium per second? No. Tabitha tosses her book bag around the back of her seat and sits down, still facing me. Well, I can. I know the exact orbits of the planets and the names of Jupiter's moons. But you know what? I shake my head. This conversation is very weird. She exhales loudly and says, I've never seen them. Any of them. I've never looked through a telescope in my life. She picks up the flyer and waves it at me. When I saw your name on this, I realized how stupid I've been to ignore basic observational astronomy. Clearly, you knew enough to study it. How can I expect to get into NASA if I don't know the difference between Cassiopeia and Andromeda? If I've never seen the Ring Nebula with my own eyes? Without waiting for an answer, she does something she's never done before. She touches me. Or, more accurately, she clutches my arm in a death grip. You're taking me with you. I'm going to do that marathon or whatever it is, and it's going on my college application. I don't want her to know the effect her touch is having, so I blurt out, You don't even know what the marathon is? Her grip tightens in response. I can't help but squirm. Okay, I'll tell you. Charles Messier was a French astronomer at the turn of the 19th century. He made this list of deep sky objects, galaxies, nebula, star clusters. He was trying to find comets and kept coming across these other things. So he started keeping a chart so other astronomers wouldn't confuse them with comets. For a few days in March each year, all 110 objects are visible, sometime between dusk and dawn. So the idea of the marathon is to find and identify all 110 objects on the list. Fine, then that's what I'll do. Doing the marathon is really hard. Most people don't get everything. A good goal for a beginner would be like a dozen or so. Her grip tightens even more. You don't think I can do it? I fear my circulation is being cut off. She's getting harder to love. Look, finding deep sky objects that are millions of light years away is hard enough, but going from one to the other in a race against the dawn, well, that takes a lot of practice, that's all. I've never done it, and I've been studying the sky since, well, for a long time. I might not want to fly into outer space, but I love looking at it. I recently took a picture of the Copernicus impact crater on the moon that is so cool I hung it up inside my locker. Tabitha releases my arm, and I have to shake it to restore feeling in my hand. She blows her hair out of her eyes. I'll just practice then. I point to the flyer. It's in 4 days. Then that gives me 3 nights to practice, she replies matter-of-factly. I want to tell her that even if she had 3 months, it might not be enough time. Instead, I ask, do you want me to help you? Even as the words are out of my mouth, I know they're a mistake. Tabitha and I don't help each other. To admit we needed help was unthinkable. She glares at me and whips around in her seat, her long hair actually skimming my nose. I know she's only talking to me now because she needs something from me, but I can live with that. After all, her hair does smell like strawberries. Okay, we will pause there for today, and when we pick up again, we'll see what happens with Petra and Tabitha. Thanks for listening. Bye.